Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. Let's think for a moment about that phrase from John's recounting of the feeding of the 5,000 for just a minute. Jesus didn't give them what they needed to sustain life. He gave them as much as they wanted. And then afterwards, there were 12 baskets of leftovers. God did not stint in his provision for his people. But where was it those loaves and fishes came from? They came from amongst the people. Jesus could have quite easily conjured up fish and bread for every single person sitting there without even blinking. But that would have missed the point entirely. Because God takes what he has already given us when we offer it back to him, and then he grows it beyond our comprehension. God's gifts to us, offered back to him, grown into provision for all. This is a theme which we have found repeated again and again and again throughout the Bible. There was manna in the desert and water from a rock for the Israelites as they fled Egypt. There were clothes for Adam and Eve after they'd eaten from the tree of life, after they had disobeyed. God still provided. Protection for Daniel. He offered his faith to God, his worship to God. And God responded with faithfulness to Daniel by closing the mouths of the lions. So what does this have to do with us and where we find ourselves today? It's really easy to look at God's miraculous provision as being something he does for other people. It's not for the likes of us. It's a good story, but it's not really making a lot of difference to me. There are the stories we've all heard or experienced where someone loses their job, the washing machine breaks, and they write off their car in the space of 2 weeks. And it can be easy to ask, where is God and God's provision in all of that? We don't control God. We cannot predict him. We cannot understand why it was he broke loaves and fishes and fed more than 5,000 people on a hillside in Judea 2,000 years ago. And yet there are people in the world literally starving to death in the world today. I don't have an answer for that. I cannot justify it. I cannot perceive any reason for it. But do you know something? I don't need to, because I'm not God, just in case anyone was in any doubt. God is bigger and greater than anything that we can ever comprehend. And God will defend himself in his own way if and when he feels it's necessary. We don't need to do that for him. God has never promised to take away hard times or difficult times. Think about Daniel. He went into the lion's den. He went into it. God didn't stop him from going into the lion's den. But God was there with him. God never left him alone. Challenges to faith will often come in the form of questions, either from within ourselves or from outside events. Where was God when that person was ill? Where was God in that period of depression? Why are the innocent suffering? Why is there evil in the world? I truly believe that my job, my role as minister, is to walk beside you as you ask these questions. It's to grieve with you when life feels unfair. And it's to celebrate with you when there are times of joy. But it's also to remind us all what our faith is based on. Our faith is not built on Santa Claus, who only distributes his gifts to the good boys and girls. Our faith is built on Christ, the cornerstone. Peter tells us in the passage that we read this morning, we have seen and tasted that the Lord is good, and so we need to grow spiritually, grow in understanding, grow in love, grow in compassion, grow in faith. We don't need a road to Damascus experience with blinding lights to encounter Christ, because we've already met him. We've met him in those quietly answered prayers in chat and snack that there would be enough soup for everyone. We've encountered him on the street as we watch people run to help a stranger. We've heard his call in the hymns we sing each week, and we have felt his comfort in our own prayers. It's nearly 4 years since I first walked into this sanctuary to have a look around the church. I came in through that door at the back there, and the first thing I was struck by was the light. By that cross on the wall, all three of them, and the sanctity of this place. I drove around the parish several times, got lost quite a lot, but I was overwhelmed by a sense of waiting for something to happen. And then I started to hear the Chris Tomlin song, which I think I've played to you a few times, but God of this city. It's a song which first and foremost celebrates the kingship and the majesty of God. And then the chorus, which says that greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. And that song was the certainty I needed. It was a voice from God that this was the place he wanted me to serve. It told me he has plans, he has a vision, and he wanted me to be a part of it. Jay arrived nearly 2.5 years ago, and he said on a few occasions he's felt the weight of the hand of God on this place. Not just this building, but all the communities which surround it. And I think he would agree with me that that sense of certainty is still present. God is not done with us yet. But it comes with a caveat. God's vision isn't necessarily the same as our vision. God's vision isn't always what we expect. It's not always what we hope for. It's not always what we even pray for. Because God's vision is a whole lot better than that. Being completely honest, coming together as a united congregation, I think everyone who came from the legacy congregations can say it's been a bit of a challenge. The road has not been smooth, and I'm sure that each and every one of you, individually and collectively, bear scars from hurt and from pain over the last few years. But there have been blessings as well. Friendships formed. Communities of shared interest have grown. No longer is it just our buildings that have united. We, the people, are becoming a cohesive family. And our family has grown. We have members who have only ever belonged to Aberdeen North. And this was not a vision that was initially welcomed by everybody. But it is being embraced, and the joys and the benefits are being experienced. Maybe we can start to consider ourselves as that holy priesthood described in our reading this morning. God's people, united by our love for him. Peter's letter refers back to Psalm 118. The stone that was rejected by the builders has become the capstone. This is, of course, interpreted as referring to Christ. But let's look at it in a slightly broader sense. What if the stone that is rejected is an idea, a plan, a hope, a dream? What if the stone that feels worthless on first examining is actually the one which has the most possibilities? We need to continually discern God's will as we move forward as his people, his holy priesthood. And in order to do that, we are called to grow spiritually. We need to discard those things that divide. We need to throw out the negativity. We need to throw away any deceit and any hypocrisy. If we're saying one thing with our mouths but harbour different feelings in our hearts, it needs to go. We don't need to look at what others have, other churches, other parts of the country, and wish that we could be more like them, have the gifts that they have the opportunities, have the resources. We collectively are created beautiful and perfect. We, yes, even us here at Aberdeen North, are chosen by God to be his people. He has blessed us with so many gifts and so many talents. Every single person sitting in this sanctuary today has something to offer. We are enough, exactly as we are. And we have the opportunity to shine so brightly in this community that even if folks do not agree with us, they can still tell that there is something which sets us apart from the ordinary. Individually, we can worship God and have faith in his goodness. But collectively, as his holy people, his bride, his church, we can live in his power and his glory and his grace. We can discern his will for us, and we can have the faith that his kingdom will indeed come and his will be done here in this parish of Aberdeen North. Amen.